to your March 2024 astrology forecast. I hate March. It's literally my least favorite month. If I could take out February, March, and April out of the year, I would be so happy to do so. I do not like spring. It is my least favorite season. With that being said, I'm not going to bring bad vibes to this reading. I'm only saying it from a place of being biased, one, because I'm on the East Coast and I hate this weather, and that's why I had to put my hair up because it's so frizzy because it's raining all the time. Two, because I have my Saturn in Aries, and that means that around this time of year, everything has to cross over my natal Saturn, and it's never a good time. I'm going through a rough time. I know I look cool, calm, and collected right now. It's because I'm trying to be professional and show up and do this reading for you, but I'm really going through it. So please know that that is why this is delayed. I know that last month I said I was going to be better with the timing of these readings, and I want to be better. I do. I got hit with life. Life is lifing for me right now. So with that being said, thank you for being so patient with your reading. And if you haven't noticed already, this is a pre-recording. It's going to be at the beginning of every single forecast for each rising sign. So if you already watched yours and you're like, why is this clip coming up again? This is going to be, I'll put like a timestamp or something like that in the video so you know where to skip to. I just wanted to do this because I find myself when I do all of the rising signs like repeating myself a lot, and it makes me kind of burnt out to do these readings, and I'm trying my best to work smarter, not harder recently, and just make little changes to all of my content and my work and stuff like that in order to show up and be the best version of myself and give you guys the value that's actually going to help you. Like, use astrology and understand it and use it as a cheat code, because that's the whole reason that I do this as my job. With that being said, I am making a little bit of a transition in my business. So this isn't like a hard launch announcement. I'm just putting the feelers out there a little bit, that I am going to be moving more into like educational content, creating a course, creating what's the word I'm looking for, like lectures and classes and stuff like that. It's not that I'm not going to be doing readings at all anymore. They're probably just going to be more exclusive, where I take like a handful of clients at a time rather than come one, come all, because that's what I've been doing pretty much my entire business. And while I do love doing it, I've met so many incredible people and worked with like over 1,000 customers so far, I have to admit that I'm burnt out, and I've been burnt out literally since my business took off in 2021. And it's been like a long time coming of me just having to accept that and make the changes that are necessary, because I want to do my podcast again. There's so many ideas that I have that like light me up and excite me, but I always have to put them on the back burner because I have to prioritize my clients first, which isn't a problem. But I just wish I could copy and paste myself and be there all the time for every reading, fully available. And especially when I go through stuff like this, it really takes a toll on me, where I'm like juggling all these responsibilities and all these people that I need to work with, and I like can't even, like, I'm going through something on my own, and then I have to show up and like talk for 4 hours about someone else's trauma while I'm not even processing my own. So I'm just trying to be responsible. I think I've said this like on my TikTok, where I think up until this point I thought the solution was like, oh, I just need to suck it up and work harder. And I'm learning now that like the solution is not working as hard, and I think I just was blind to that solution the whole time. So with that being said, has this been out of focus the whole time? It better not have been. Sorry for the noise. I'm in my little TikTok chair, which was such a good investment. Literally saved my back. But okay, things that we need to talk about this month with this forecast for everybody across the board, regardless of your rising sign. We have an eclipse at the end of the month. We have an eclipse at the end of the month. There is a door closing at the end of March that opened way back in the fall. Way back in like October 2023. That is the month that I want you to imagine in your mind, because it's going to provide the context for what's closing out now. And the reason I say that is because every full moon that we have is going to be a closure, like a door closing to a door that opened 6 months prior. But when we have that attached to an eclipse, baby, that is like 100 times harder and more intensified. So this is really going to be what was the precursor in the fall is now the culmination and the full circle moment, basically, in the area of your chart that Libra rules. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. On top of that, we have a new moon in Pisces, so this is going to be a new beginning, a new chapter opening in the Pisces area of your chart. We're making the transition from what is Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, into Aries energy, which is the first sign of the zodiac. So I have the pleasure and the grace of telling you that if you have not been hitting the ground running with your New Year's resolutions, and you're like, girl, we are in the first quarter and I haven't even done anything, it's okay, because it makes no sense as to why our calendar that isn't zodiacal is set up to convince you that in the middle of January, when you're supposed to be like harvesting your nuts and hibernating and preparing for a winter, are you supposed to like transition to this new person. We're supposed to be going with the seasons, baby. It makes no sense why you would like get in a cocoon and blossom in January when everything is dead and cold. So with that being said, as we make our way into spring, it is the new year. Everything's blossoming, everything's like opening up. The seeds that you planted when it was cold and dark and stormy are now going to see the light of day and be able to grow and blossom. So this is your second chance. You always have a second chance. Every day you wake up is a second chance, but this is really your second starting point, I would say, to really take off on your goals, to even just really identify them. I think that people typically tend to get a little bit more independent this time of year and get that fire underneath their butt because we have things that incentivize us, like spring break, it's almost summer, like having a vacation planned, summer plans, things like that, that kind of make you be like, okay, I should probably get up, I should probably start working out, I should probably start saving up, you know, things like that. And you know, with a new beginning comes an ending initially. So we usually have to close things out in order to make room for the new things that are going to be arriving. So with that Pisces energy, that's where it can be the deep, purging, emotional, psychic, intuitive, spiritual endings and letting go, where we are suddenly becoming very poetic and writing in our journal, where we are finding ourselves praying and manifesting, where we are 3 days in of rotting in our bed, and it's totally okay because that's what you're supposed to be doing during Pisces season, is sleeping, resting, reflecting, kind of soaking it all in and learning your lesson of it all. Aries season is that fire coming in, baby. It's like the Kool-Aid man slamming through the wall. Pisces is being like, I just can't let it go, like crying over something, feeling like your world is ending because it is ending, because Pisces does rule endings. And then Aries is that like crying for, like, it's a new year, baby, and you're ready to just like jump out of bed. I would say that the Aries energy, the transition is like Pisces feeling so distraught and heartbroken and purging emotion over all the things you lost, where Aries energy is like the motivation and the discipline coming from your veins because you're ready to get your revenge and prove everybody wrong that doubted you. So it's a fun little transition. It's definitely a big step from one energy to another, but that discomfort is what gets the ball rolling for a new zodiacal calendar year. So I'm super excited. I hope that these readings help you. Again, always check for your rising sign. You need to check for your rising sign. That's the only thing with my readings that's gonna give you the most clarity. So if you're checking for your sun sign and you're like, girl, it's because I told you to check for your rising sign, okay? Is there anything else I need to add? If you want to book a reading in the meantime, while I still have them open, you can go to kmoney.biz. Everything's going to be available in the like description of this video, all the links you need and stuff. So you can subscribe to my Patreon, follow me on other platforms, subscribe to my email list, my newsletter on kmoney.biz, so that way you can see the updates for when I do have courses and stuff coming out. Other than that, I hope you have an amazing month. Please remember that with eclipses, like, you're not going to die. It's not the end of the world. Can they be intense? Yes. They don't always have to be malicious. You don't have to be afraid of going outside. You don't want to fear astrology. When you fear it, it will find you and it will hunt you down and it will make you face it. You want to embrace the change. You want to be open to what it's trying to show you and to teach you. That way you can evolve. If you're scared your whole life, you're never going to live. And if you're kind of showing up scared and being like, I'm ready to kind of experience it anyways, you're going to be taken on that very exciting ride. So as we make our way into the new year, into March, I hope that you guys have an amazing month. Please share what you're going through down below, not only because I love hearing what you guys are going through and it makes everybody, I think, feel a little bit less alone, but also because it genuinely helps me do these predictions to see that there is a running line of consistency and a common denominator between people that share the same rising sign. So tell me what you're going through. I hope this helps you guys. Love you, and thank you for watching. Hi Taurus, welcome to your March 2024 astrology forecast. A lot of the stuff that's going on for you this month is really going to start in your career sector, and then it's going to get very social into your 11th house. And then we're going to be spending the second half of the month, pretty much the ending of March, in what is like the most private area of the chart. We're really going to dive deep towards the end of the month. So we might start March on a loud note, and then as we get to the second half, it starts to quiet down. We look inward, we do a lot of self-reflection. So on the 3rd, Venus in your 10th house squared Uranus in your 1st house. We know that squares really do not have to be the worst thing in the world. Is it a negative aspect? Yes, but it's usually conflicting because it's inspiring you to do something about it, to make a decision, to make a change, to sort of get the ball rolling to find that solution for the discomfort rather than just complaining about it. So to have that between Venus, which is a benefic, it wants to help you. It's not typically here to just cause trouble. And then Uranus in your first house, so a sense of liberation, setting yourself free, really maybe having some like abrupt changes with your personality or your looks or like your personal brand. That's probably a better way to think of it. This is your career sector and it's you. So there's probably some sort of change in comfort zone, desire, goals, things that you want for yourself in regards to things that can be, yes, professional in regards to your career, but sometimes the 10th house is also like independence. It's the way that we want people to perceive us. So to have that mild discomfort is probably like you maybe no longer aligning with or resonating with the things, the tracks, the goals that you're on currently and wanting to go more towards the thing that you're eyeing on the side. On the 8th, Mercury is conjoining Neptune in your 11th house. I keep telling everybody, this is just a liar, a cheater, a stealer. Like, we really want to be careful on the 8th with misunderstanding things, especially with you. It's going to probably be more in regards to your friendships, the people that you surround yourself with. It's groups, communities, associates, your coworkers, your people that you like even have following you on social media. Be careful with the things that you're sharing, but also the things that you are like reading and hearing from other people. So I would say with content consumption and creation, there can be some blurred lines, misinterpretation, whether it's like a little fib by accident, like sharing information that isn't correct, or straight up lying or being lied to. That's something that we really want to be careful with. Also say that this is a day that you want to be careful with being sold a dream, because this is happening in your 11th house. So this is really big goals. This is like things that you put on your vision board, and you might have a conversation with somebody who's like influential or well connected today. Is it to say that everyone across the board is going to have like negative effects with this aspect? And no, but you want to be weary and use your discernment accordingly. On the 9th, Mars in your 10th house is going to square Uranus in your first house. So Mars going through the 10th house can bring a lot of changes or a lot of like catalytic action when it comes to your career, your professional development, the way that you are perceived in the public eye, your identity, even the way that you present yourself on social media. Mars can be a little bit of a troublemaker depending on if you are a day chart or a night chart. If you are a day chart, it's going to be a little bit more complicated for you. It kind of comes in and knocks everything over and leaves a mess. And in some ways that can be good for getting the ball rolling and making change kind of happen very quickly. In other ways, it can be friction and tension that kind of frustrates us on our path. So having a square to Uranus in your first house can be a little bit frustrating, because now we're dealing with what is like this unhinged, unexpected, yes, liberating, yes, non-conforming, yes, sort of authentic energy with Uranus. But when we have that sort of aspect with Mars, it can create very unexpected tension, very out of left field conflict, sort of like throwing obstacles in our path that we were not planning for. In other ways, you might sort of feel impulsive to liberate yourself from something. Like, I think because again this is happening between your 10th house of your career and your first house of self, some people might be like quitting on the spot. Some people might be like, that's it, I'm no longer doing this job. With that aspect happening on the 3rd too, of like, I'm starting to be ready to go towards the thing that I want for myself now that maybe I don't align with anymore, followed by this aspect. It's kind of like those rumblings around the 3rd of like, I don't know, I'm kind of thinking about quitting. And then you wait until like the straw that breaks the camel's back and you're like, yep, that was my cue, like I'm out. It doesn't have to be, again, limited to your career. It's just something to consider. On the 10th, there's going to be a new moon in Pisces in your 11th house at 20 degrees. And on the same day, Mercury is going to enter your 12th house. So this is extra dreamy for you, because Mercury being the planet of communication, speaking, talking, writing, using your voice, posting online, the books that you read, the podcast you listen to, anything like that. I almost just choked and died. Having that go into your 12th house is really going to bring and introduce you to sort of do a lot of introspection. This does oh my God, am I good right now? Mercury going into, I'm laughing because like I'm on live while I'm doing this and I literally can't breathe right now for some reason. Having Mercury go into your 12th house invites you to do a lot of introspection. There might be extra attention on like your sleep schedule, on the supplements or the medications you're taking, on maybe getting a little bit deeper in therapy. It's kind of digging deeper, more cerebrally and intellectually. Having that new moon in your 11th house is going to be a new beginning, a new chapter when it comes to those big dreams, when it comes to those friends, the people you surround yourself with, your sense of belonging in the world on a larger level. So I think that you're just tapping into something deeper. I think that this is less like superficial and just surface level things that you want for yourself, and maybe diving deep to figure out why you want the things that you want, or what your heart and your mind is really yearning for. And that new beginning in the 11th house is sort of recalibrating what that vision board looks like. With Mercury still being in your 12th house, if you find that you're like a little bit more isolated or lonely this month, I promise it's temporary. It's probably time that you actually need for yourself to really tap in to your deeper self anyways. On the 11th, Venus is going to enter your 11th house. So this is what I mean when I say the social area of your chart is really starting to pick up traction. It looks like there's a lot of movement happening when it comes to who you're connected to, the things that you want, and maybe how you can speak to the right person at the right time to get you closer to your goals in life. And that's not to say like social climbing, but rather that your network is highlighted this month in regards to the things that you want for yourself. And having Venus go through your 11th house is very exciting when it comes to making those right connections, when it comes to building your network, maybe even just saying yes to plans. Like this can be the world opening up to you again, where you're just like starting to go out again, you're seeing your friends, you're making plans with people. You could be even maybe like posting more on social media, rendering a sense of support from other people, or even again getting closer to like a certain group or a demographic, whether this is literally like a Facebook group, or you starting to get into like a certain subculture that you fell into on a little hole on TikTok, like anything where you're finding yourself aligning with the right type of people that share the same mindset as you or the same goals as you. On the 17th, the sun is going to conjoin Neptune in your 11th house. So this is going to be a little bit of a throwback to today, which is Mercury conjoining Neptune in your 11th house. Today is the 8th that I'm recording this on. This is really doubling down on, again, that sense of deception and possibly being sold a dream. The sun can really have to do with like your creativity, your ego, yes, but it's also things like authority figures. So like a boss or your father or somebody that's able to tell you yes or no, or able to use their power or influence to help you or hurt you. So to have that in a conjunction to Neptune and already having Mercury conjunct Neptune, I think that whatever conversations you're having today or thoughts or any sort of communication that's like a little bit hazy and has that blurred lines of possible deception / manipulation or even manifesting, it can be good as well. That follow-up on the 17th looks like cementing whatever is happening now. So if you find that you sort of have an inkling or like an intuitive feeling that maybe someone's not being entirely honest with you as we get to mid-month, you definitely want to trust your gut feeling with that. On the 18th, Mercury is going to enter shadow in Aries at 15 degrees in your 12th house. So we're later going to have a Mercury retrograde into April. And this is just showing that this is going to be the familiar territory that Mercury is going to retrograde over. So we will revisit this area of your chart throughout that retrograde cycle. Having a Mercury retrograde in your 12th house, again, this isn't something you have to worry about until next month. But I would say, again, this really puts an emphasis on things like your sleep schedule, on therapy, on medications you are or aren't taking. It's your mental health. It's the habits that you're using to take care of yourself or not take care of yourself, as well as like addiction and escapism. Everything that has to do with up here. It's very mystical. It's very spiritual. It's not limited to the material realm at all. So things that, again, you're thinking of and going through right now are likely to be revisited into next month as well. On the 19th, Mercury is going to conjoin the North Node in your 12th house. And then the very next day on the 20th, Mercury is going to conjoin Chiron because they are in a conjunction in the sky right now. So yeah, you're diving deep, baby. Like I can't say it enough. I don't want to repeat myself, but having everything go through your 12th house, I think you're like digging up something that maybe has gone unresolved, or maybe you've tucked deep back into like a box in the back of your brain that you don't look at, that can be something like traumatizing or painful. Does it have to be the worst thing in the world? Absolutely not. But with Chiron in the mix, it's referred to as the wounded healer for a reason. So while there might be that wounded part of being triggered or feeling like, why am I having anxiety attacks again? Or like, why am I finding that I'm remembering all these weird things that I thought I didn't care about anymore? Those are coming up for a reason. And we can tap into that healing part where, yes, we might get triggered, but then we're given the opportunity to do something about it and to put a band-aid on it rather than just a temporary solution. So again, this can be like faded conversations. It can be even like mental breakthroughs. So even if you're not talking to somebody about these things, you might have a revelation, an epiphany, anything like that. Journaling, shadow work, speaking to somebody, all those things can help you out this month. On the same day, on the 20th, the sun is going to enter your Aries 12th house. So again, it's joining that 12th house party right behind everything else. On the 21st, Venus is going to conjoin Saturn in your 11th house. I like a good Venus-Saturn conjunction. This isn't everybody's cup of tea for sure. It can definitely feel like a little bit of a slap on the wrist in some ways, because it does talk about our desires and the things that we want for ourselves. This is our crush. It's the thing that we want to splurge our money on. It's the food that we want to binge on. And when we have Saturn and Venus kind of come into that aspect, it's that authoritative sort of voice that's like, no, you need to put the candy down, or like, no, you need to start a budget. I think it's very good for being practical about the things that you want in life, and being able to create like a solid plan. Having this in your 11th house again is going to pertain to your friendships, the groups that you associate with, your very big dreams. So this can even be a good time to take what is that very big dream and kind of break it down into practical steps, so it's less of a pipe dream and more of a plan that you can actually follow. Again, this can equally be something that is affecting your social life, but Venus conjoining Saturn rather than vice versa is a lot more warm and forgiving and welcoming than Saturn conjoining your natal Venus. So this is going to be good for easing up any limitations or restrictions that have previously been established. So for example, like if you've had a friendship fallout that's been really affecting you, now might be the time where you can reconcile and actually talk about it, especially with, again, the North Node stuff in the mix as well, all the 12th house stuff, things deep from your psyche are coming back up to the surface to be revisited. On the 22nd, Mars is going to enter your 11th house. So again, wherever Mars is transiting, it's going to bring a lot of change. It's going to bring a lot of action, for better or for worse. It's bringing movement. It's bringing that catalytic energy to that area of the chart. You might be aggressively pursuing your goals. You might be arguing with friends. You might be having conflict with, again, the sort of groups and communities that you maybe previously associated with yourself with, and you're starting to be like, that's it, I need to go somewhere else where I'm actually welcomed. But this is going to be something that will be present for about 2-ish months. So you can just expect to have that energy hanging out for a little bit. Try not to be like, you know, unnecessarily aggressive with people or with your friends. Don't step on other people. I think that this is a great time to yes, align yourself with people that have shared goals, and then being able to run that race together rather than on your own. On the 23rd, Saturn is going to enter shadow in Pisces in your 12th house, or I'm sorry, not in your 12th house, at 12 degrees in your 11th house. So again, same idea. Saturn entering its shadow period is basically saying when it goes retrograde, which actually isn't going to be for another few months, this is where it's going to retrograde back to. So it's going to come back to this territory. What you're going through now in March is going to be relevant again way down the line this year, just something to pay attention to. And Saturn, we know, is like karmic lessons, it's discipline, it's responsibility. So we kind of want to listen to what we're being told to do, the right thing to do, rather than just what we want to do. On the same day, Jupiter is exiting shadow in Taurus. So Jupiter has been retrograde from 2023, and now that it's exiting shadow period, it's leaving the territory that we've already gone over. So this is exciting because it's stepping into new territory. We haven't been here yet. That means new opportunities, new gifts, new abundance, new things that Jupiter is going to be able to give us in your first house of self and identity and who you are and what you look like. So again, tapping into a deeper, more authentic part of yourself. On the 24th, Venus in your 11th house is going to sextile Jupiter in your first house. I really like this. I think that any tension that might come up throughout the month that, again, is social in regards to maybe having frustrations about not being able to figure out what you really want for yourself, I think this will get a lot more clear towards the end of the month. This is a really good day to like launch something, to post something, to put yourself out there. On the 25th, we are having the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra at 5 degrees in your 6th house. So this is a much longer running story. A full moon is always going to be an ending, a closing of a cycle, a full circle moment. So this is closing the door to a door that opened back in October of 2023. I want you to think back to last fall. Whatever was going on, especially in your 6th house in regards to work, health, routine, lifestyles, your everyday sort of habits. It's like what time you get up in the morning. It's the food that you eat. It's your pets. It's what you put in your body. It's if you work out or if you don't work out. It's your coworkers. It's the labor of like your actual position at work. It is the way that you help other people. There's so many, it really is effort and struggle and the weight that you carry throughout your day-to-day life. So there might have been something back then, whether you started a new job, you took on a new responsibility, you had some sort of maybe change in your lifestyle that now is coming full circle. Does that mean it's bad? Does that mean that the ending has to blow up your whole life? Absolutely not. But there's likely something that is kind of tying up the loose ends in this area of your life. And then we end the month on the 26th with Venus in your 11th house sextile Uranus in your first house. So again, Venus is sort of giving you that grace of getting more in touch with yourself. On the 24th, that sextile to Jupiter was about growth and kind of like having a lot more wisdom from your experiences, and having that sextile now meeting Uranus in the sky is being able to break free, break away, liberate yourself, step more into authenticity without that fearful, sort of careful, hesitant energy, and rather hitting the ground running and going towards what you want for yourself.